Hello, one and all, and welcome to the message from energy here on the Astroflower. How's your week been for energy? It's been pretty hectic on my side, um, and we can see what's been happening in the sun over the past week. It sort of relates really, really well this week here. So you may have found that it was a fiery. That also at the same time you were getting, there's physical actions being happening within your life, and then mixed in with that is the emotions. So there's a lot of energies after a crazy week the week before, even the 10 days before the last week. So we're looking at the last sort of like 10 days of September, and just into the beginning was very sort of incredible for the Earth's energy and for the energies that was going on in regards to pole shift and so forth. But in the past week, going from the first roughly to today, we've had several alignments, planetary alignments as well that's been going on. And then we finished off with the harvest supermoon. And I think and also a flare that came in our direction, an eruption. It wasn't particularly big, and it didn't really disturb the Earth enormously. Had a lot more problems with the corona hole energies. That's the Earth energy, and the fire energy that came through, and it was emotionally driven. So you may find that over the past 3 or 4 days, you might have had a increase in an emotional input within your life, which culminated yesterday, maybe, where the bubble is like a bubble coming up to the surface through the water and goes plop, which might have accumulated until yesterday with the arrival of the solar flare. So you may have felt those energies. Now, there was an eruption, which also was an eruption that connected to a filament eruption. Now, that's water energy. So we've had earth, fire, and water. It doesn't seem to have been a great deal amount of air within it more than anything else. So it's been very action orientated this week here. And with the super moon as well, we might have realized, the super moon, the harvest moon, which is in Aries as well. It's like a karmic new beginning. It's like, it was the turning of a page. And it's like, it's getting at the crest of a hill or a crest of a mountain and then coming down the other side, or like a roller coaster that's got a tick, 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 tick. And then when the silence happens, that's when the ride starts. So whatever you've been living, and I hope for you that it's been the best times. It could be very exciting, incredibly productive, invigorating, engaging, emotionally fulfilling, and so forth. You might have also found the other side of that, because everything has its yin yang, and you may have found that it had a flip side where you may have found that you're a little bit frustrated, or in conversation, deep, heavy conversations that might have even been conflictual, which seems to have come to pass. It seems to have come to an end, as I say. Okay, let's just have a quick look at what was actually going on with the sun over the past week. So here we go. You can see here, just on this section here, at the top and the bottom, this is the same sun over the last week. And we're looking in different frequencies. So in the bottom one, you can see a little bit easier the coronal holes, and you can certainly see the bright sections, which is all to do with solar flares. Now that's that earth and fire energy. And that, as it's gone through, it had an eruption on a filament energy, and is now at this present time been replaced by that dark patch, which is right in the center, which is the coronal hole, earth energy again. So here we go. We've got earth energy, and just above that sort of dark sort of patch that's going, it's on this side here, going at the bottom. Then you see the eruption there that's happening in there. And as it erupts there it goes. It does release a filament energy, which is just above the corona hole that's coming through at the moment. And I think that's what the emotional energy that was coming through. And it's now sort of like it's come to a cumulative sort of state of now you can see the corona hole that's facing us, which is the earth energy. As we can, as it comes to that and that corona hole is coming through, all of a sudden we're back into a situation where there's been a hive of activity going on over the past week in a lot of things. It's sorting out a lot of clutter. It's getting your karmic path incredibly clear and clean for you, of how to progress and how to go forward. And with that corona hole, it gives us this earth energy before we get some more fire coming in. I would say around about the 15th, around about that sort of period there, with some more sort of sunspots that are coming through. Um, you may find now, it's cleared the decks in a lot of senses, where you can really kind of go, right, now I need to do this, and this, in order to get to where I'm going. And it's a real sort of, now I've got that sorted. Now I've cleared the decks. Now I can see where I'm going and I physically know what I should be doing and how to go about things. And you should have a clarity within your spirit or within your karmic path of now I realize what I should be doing here upon this planet. And you may know just the next step. It's not necessarily, you may have a great idea, which you're working to do. And as we work towards it, it's one step after another, knocking things down, dominoes, as it were, and getting our ducks in row. And that's what it seems to have been like this week more than anything else. It certainly played within the energies enormously. And this comes on the back, as I said, as the supermoon and also the planetary alignments, but also about that inverting energy that's going on over the past sort of 10 days prior to last week, which was amazing geologically, energetically, for the Earth itself and for the energy in general. So we will be visiting the center of the Earth because there's certain things I do want to have a look at when we get the messages from the energy in a moment. And we will also be going through the chakra sequencing, obviously, to see what's going on there. So without further ado, let's get into that a little bit. Let's start off with the chakra sequencing first of all. So just finding that point zero energy. It's like a neutral point from where you start. So you put all your senses down to neutral. So then it's much easier for you to feel and to sense the changes or the differences in energy. So always start at a neutral point. There we go. We're just starting there, finding that, disconnecting the brain, disconnecting the body, as it were, putting everything back into neutral and letting things just free roll, as it were. Okay, we can see the morphic fields. I can see the energy now as it's flowing through. Lot of deep blues. I think this is a real healing energy that's coming through, especially after the last week. And even if it's been absolutely fantastic this week for you and incredibly productive, obviously you can't have your foot placed upon the accelerator permanently like that because you'll get burnout. And this week here is almost sort of like kind of going, okay, I've progressed a lot. It's like when you start on the motorway, there's a lot of people around, but as the further you get down the freeway or the highway or whatever you call it, the motorway, things get a little bit easier, get a bit more into the rhythm of things, maybe less cars and so forth. And that's what the energy you may be feeling at the moment. And that's giving a lot of healing, bringing you back to the sense of kind of rather than being really hectic and dealing with stuff. It's much more calmer energies that are coming through at the moment. And I think that's tied into that earth energy as well. Okay. So let's find that central point. Now, our connection to energy is not through your crown or through your root chakra or through your heart chakra. It's actually through a point. It's like a chakra. It's an internal chakra. It doesn't come outside of your body, so we can't dowse it as such. When we go on my workshops, we can dowse our chakras. But here is like the connection point, which is just behind the sternum, right in the center there. Okay, between the heart and solar plexus. And there we go. We got that connection there. It's moving on to the crown and the root. I'll tell you what, the crown here is a lot more electrified than the root chakra. It's in a moment of pause and tranquility and healing that we see, or we can connect to the greater consciousness that is within us as individuals. And therefore, we can connect to the greater energy or the greater consciousness that is the collective. And it seems to be this way here. The crown chakra seems to be this whole sort of calming process of sort of realizing, how you fit within the rhythm of life. And the moment you get that connection, it's much easier for us to progress slowly but surely and getting solid progression rather than just running from pillar to post, from side to side. Here is like taking very nice, gentle, but consistent steps forward. It's cruise control consciousness. That's what it seems to be here at the moment. Very good cruise control consciousness. I like that. So, yes, let's just see where it moves on to now. It moves on to the heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra here it's not tight. It's very much on the exterior, on the echelons. Now, the heart chakra is not like a flower that goes in the front and a flower that goes at the back. The heart chakra is one flower that's placed on top of another, and it does this sort of section here like that. It's almost like this. If my one arm is this one petal, and the other arm is the petal of down below, and it goes out like a disc, like a crystal disc around us, almost like um, a a a coquille de Saint-Jacques. So you can look that up. It's a shell that sort of like goes out like that. It looks like the shell emblem, the petrol company. So it looks a little bit like that. But and it's not playing in the center bit. It's really playing on the exterior here, and it's almost sort of saying, you know, explore the boundaries of your heart, explore the boundaries of the joy of living, I think. Rather than being it's centralized on your own emotions, it's centralized on the connection with the outside world and how we engage in that connection with the world around us. And it's one of those, it's a bit like a sea anemone. It's those tentacles that feel the world around us and see what's going on. And sometimes when we feel things, the tentacle goes, ooh, and pulls back. And other times it kind of goes, oh, what's going on there? So sometimes the heart pulls back, and as it pulls back, it doesn't pull back like that. The heart chakra pulls back like that. So it actually makes a crossing point which blocks and protects your interior of your heart. But here is all about finding out about the greater connection with the world and enjoying the moment, seeing the world around you and kind of laughing at things that are happening in the world that may not necessarily be touching you directly. And it could give you really good ideas about how to engage your life. Really beautiful energies there. Where is it moving on to now? Okay, so it moves on to the third eye and the throat, but it's much more about the third eye here than the throat chakra. And in the third eye, it's a question of, yes, seeing your path, inner vision, intuition in a sense that you can feel a situation or you can hear a situation or you're hearing your guides, but also at the same time you're feeling the energy, and you can see it as well in a vision. So it accumulates everything. It's like when you make a movie, there's lighting, there's sound, there's vision, There's all those things that come together, and that's what we comes into intuition. And this is where it's sort of like it's bringing all the intuition together within your path. And I wouldn't allow yourself to go wandering too far off from what you're doing. It's nice to get involved in your heart chakra. Yeah, I totally get that. And but at the same time, it's going to bring all those sort of connections and feeling good about the exterior of life is going to bring it all into some sort of synergy where we can connect to the inner being, as it were. And it's going to make us feel a lot better about what is going on around us, because it's very clear about the pathway that we should be treading. And there is the throat chakra, but it's not. So the throat chakra, so if you imagine you've got a petal, you've got a flower in front and a flower behind you, and it's bent over, so you have the two flowers in front of you. That's like that. Okay, so if one extends further out, the other one will pull in, and vice versa. So what's happening here is because it's playing a lot more on the third eye and the pineal gland, the inner vision. That means the throat chakra is pulling in. Therefore, there's less conversation to be had. I think this is a real moment this week here of analysis of what we have. And this could have something to do with the harvest moon, and saying to your, looking at your crops and sort of saying, what have I collected in my life? What stocks do I have? What assets do I have? How can I apply those assets so they bring me resources, or bring me pleasure, or bring me spiritual understanding in my life? So it's using that inner vision in a really productive way. Let's just see where it's moving on to now. It moves on to the solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus here, unlike the heart chakra, is really tight. So if you imagine you've got the heart chakra that goes out, as I said, it sort of goes out in front of you, and the solar plexus is much more tighter underneath. So it's filling this space left behind by the heart chakra, which gives, there you go, which gives you enormous amount of security, self-confidence. And that self-confidence is because you know yourself. You know what you're capable of. You know what you can do. Once you do one thing for the first time, you have the confidence to do it again. And that's what confidence is. It doesn't fall from the sky. It's a gradual cultivation of your own task, of what you do in life. And once you start developing that confidence within you, sometimes you can push it out of your comfort zone. But at the moment here in this week here, the solar plexus is pulling it in tight. Now, this is also a connection that you can have from parent to children. Through generational sort of connection. There is also a generational connection through the sacrum, which goes through the genitalia sort of areas, be it with a female or male. But here is all about the sort of the strength of a family, the connection that you have of intergenerational between you and your parents or your grandparents, or you and your children, whichever way in which you sort of see or focus your energy upon. It's a way of bringing back together the harmony of the family. And now that could be your your soul tribe family, as well. It could be with your friends. It could be with the people that you connect with. It's bringing it all back and being a lot more sort of solid, and having some really good community factor going on there. And it helps with the confidence within you, and makes you feel a lot more determined in life, and more assured about what you're doing. Okay. And so that helps with that earth energy that's coming through with the corona halter, taking one step after another. Where's it moving on to now? And it goes back to the crown and the root. There is no sacrum in there. The sacrum seems to be there, but always seems to be there in the background more than anything else. rather than being full on, it just seems to be in the background. It's as if, like, over the past week, you seem to have sorted the sacrum out, sorted out the crossing the T's and dotting the I's, getting the essentials that you need in order to achieve what you want to be achieving. Okay. So yeah, it's a really good week actually. Looks like it's the energy that's setting up here at the moment seems like a very sort of solid. I wouldn't say condensed, but very sort of solid, very sort of in tune and in alignment with oneself, and also enjoying that alignment and that strength that we have within us to explore the connections with the outside world. And it means exploring it by observing from a distance, as it were, seeing something funny that's happening or seeing something like that kind of you makes you kind of go, oh yeah, that's really beautiful. That sort of thing, or oh, that gives me an idea of what I should be doing or how I can do something. Really, really good energies at the moment. Let's get into the messages from energy now. And we're going to be visiting the center of the earth. So we're going to be connecting to this energy line that I'm sat upon at the moment. Just over that way there is the church and the crossing point. It's no more than 25, 30 meters away. So let's just connect to that energy there. Let's just see if we can get a direct connection to the energy that's going on and see. There we go. We get the morphic fields. We get that deep blue again. It's real navy blue, deep blue. It's a lovely type of energy. Very good healing energy, water energy, obviously. And that could be tied into that harvest moon a little bit. It could also be tied into that filament energies that came over the last few days. That's still residence within the energy. So let's just see what's going on, see if we can get a sort of message. Now it's asking me to go to right, so I'm going to connect with that learner. It's asking me to go and have a look at get the messages from inside the center of the earth. So there we go. We find that connection there, find our neutral point. Okay, now we're just leaving the energy, or leaving the body as it were, going down the ley line. Here we go down to the crossing point. We find that vortex of energy of two lines that come together. They don't actually cross, they do this vortex that goes down right down to the center of the earth, connect to the center of the earth, then come out and continue their journey. That's how ley line works. You can see that in our workshops called The Source. All details in the description. So we've got that crossing point, we've got that vortex. Just going to jump into that vortex. There we go. We're going down through the crust of the earth. And as I go down through the crust of the earth, I'm coming towards the void that is in the middle between the plasma ball that's right in the center, and that plasma ball originates from the sun. That's why it has a connection to the sun. And that plasma ball creates a void for the shell of like an egg in a way, and it burns the underside of that shell, which produces oil and gas and so forth as it seeps through, and volcanoes and so forth. Okay, so, and we've got that film here, and this is what I wanted to look at. So I'm not making it all the way down. I've stopped in the middle of the vortex. Now we can see on the interior, I was talking about a layer, and I was talking about that probably around about 3-4 months ago. Started talking about this layer of inverted energy, or this void energy, before we go totally through the pole shift. And it's been pushing up against the underside of the crust of the earth. And it seems to be accumulating. It seems to be gathering strength, gathering force and importance more than anything else. It has been very thin, but as gradually the interior, obviously another layer has come through, and it's gradually accumulating in that section there. We can see the volcanoes. There's major pressure within the lava chambers across the globe at the moment. There has been talk about that volcano that's out in the Pacific, just off the west coast of America, but also in Africa. There seems to be sort of major build-up in that sort of section there. And we obviously have that Alaskan bridge between Alaska and Russia. That seems to be playing up there. I think that's still going. It has been erupting there. We have had volcanoes erupting, but I don't think we've seen the biggest eruption as yet. I still think that's still to come. Let's have a look and see what's going on in Greece and Italy and seeing what's going on over there. There does seem to be an accumulation, I would say much more on the Italian side of things, where there's a bit more pressure under the lava chambers, and that's pushing gradually to the surface, as it were. And as it does push to the surface, this is where we come to a point where there's neither a north or south, and that's what that void energy is all about. It's like a cushion between one energy and then void and then an inversion of the other energy. So it could be like that. So it's like that's what pole shift is all about. It's a gradual transition, and sometimes it can take thousands of years, and sometimes it can only take a few years. And I've got a funny feeling this time round it's going to be a reasonably quick one because there's a lot of pressure that's building up. We can also see on earthquakes, we have the earthquake that's happening in, looks like sort of, what's the island just north of Australia? Um, Bali and stuff like that. Not Bali, but New Guinea and stuff like that. I think in that sort of area there, there's a lot of earthquakes. There seems to be a big earthquake as well, which is hitting Japan. Seems to be that there seems to be a big freeing up of the energies, which is the top of that Filipino plate as well. Let's just see if there's any other earthquakes. Now, there has been quite a lot of earthquakes up by the crown chakra, and there does seem to be another big earthquake that's going to be happening on just on the in the Pacific side near Peru, and that could be releasing that energy for that volcano that's just sitting off in the west in the Pacific on the west coast of America. So it's just around Peru, around the root chakra of the earth. I will put it up around my head at some point, the map of the chakras of the earth. But so we've got a combination that's going between the solar plexus and the third eye and the throat chakra, which is up in Japan. And we've seen this being repeated over the last few weeks. But now we've got the crown and the root that is playing into the energies as well. And so obviously within the earth, as it were. So because we get the crown chakra in Mount Kalesh and the root chakra in the Lake Salida, in Bolivia, I think it is, or Peru. It's the highest salt lake city of the world. So those sort of two areas there as well seems to be flashpoints of release of energy. And when we get the release of energy, then it allows it to overflow through the volcanic energies that are going on. But there's a definite build-up of this void energy. And this is also what we see in regards to Three-Eye Atlas, Swan. We're going to get more and more comets that come through because it's the crossing point between the two layers of the galactic plane. As we move into it, you get a lot of debris that gets shifted out from the center of the galaxy in a very, very fast aspect. And at some points, we have solar systems, not just this solar system, but multitudes of solar systems that pass from one side to the other. And it seems to be accumulating like that, very similar within the Earth as well. Let's just go down continue our journey down the vortex now. So grouping back, going down the vortex, down onto the plasma ball in the center of the Earth, which is like equivalent of a mini sun. It's connected to the sun, and this is where we find the Akashic Library. We also find the portal that takes us from one place to another within the solar system, and within, from the solar system, or certainly from the sun, you can then go on to other places within the universe. But so let's just go down there. Let's just see what's going like that. There is a certain mist around it. It's almost like there's a lot of humidity within the air, a lot of emotion, it may be, that's connected to it. And it's it's raising the temperature. That's what it seems to be saying to me. But once we break, like coming like a plane coming through the clouds, as we break through that cloud, we can now see the center of the Earth, the plasma ball there, and that's really, it's almost white. There's a definite injection of intense, um, intentional energy that's coming through, and it's building. And I think we'll see that in the next sort of like 2-3 weeks as it comes to the surface of the earth. And that's when it's going to really truly filter through within us as individuals. There's a real intensity about it. You know, let's just see if we can find the doorway into the center of that plasma. It's very tight. Let's go through, and there we go. We're into the center of that plasma ball. We can see the Akashic Library, which is now, it's finished now. It's almost completed. We have the reception area, like a library, where you get the librarian, and that's where you ask your questions to the librarian. The librarian will then go and get the relative lives that are connected to the question that you need to be answered, and it will give you the precise information. So when you go to the librarian or the Akashic Library, you've got to be very precise in your questions that you're asking. Within the center of that Akashic Library, we get the portal. So I'm just going to say, I'm going through, let me just see, because at the same time, we've got this sort of gallery that goes all the way around, a bit like a stadium, football sort of stadium, as it were, and that's where you get the administrators as well. Now, these administrators, I've been asked about them. They're not higher or lower planes, they're just servants, and we all take turns in doing this, just being a neutral person, as it were. The same people who work within the Akashic Library, they're neutral elements. They can't have an agenda to something, because otherwise it will just push the world and destroy the world onto one side. It will split the world. That's not what anybody wants. Certainly doesn't want, the universe doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. So let me just see what's going on within the administrators of the sphere, as it were. Okay, they're definitely in operation mode here. As I've been saying over the past few weeks, it's like a motor now, that, or an engine or a car that they've been through tests, and now they're really pushing it through its paces here. Then it's like, and I've seen it before with the portal, where it's like a magnifying glass, which you do with the sun. So you've got to find the right angle so it actually starts creating that fire and so forth. It seems like they've got that. And it seems like now that they're driving the change, the changing energy, the new energy that's coming through with the new consciousness that we've been talking about over the past sort of 2-3 weeks, that's happening. They seem to be incredibly busy here. And I'm asking them what is going on, and they're sort of saying, well, we're pushing it, seeing how fast it can go. And with the increased echelons, it's like, the delta wave or beta wave energy. And then you go into the theta energy, where it's like really, really intense. It goes up to sort of like 120 hertz plus, really intense energy that would literally zip through you if you're not conscious about it. And I think that's going to be protecting a lot of people so they don't get freaked out. But other people that are connecting to it, it's connecting to that central point, that connection to all the energy. It's making us incredibly, it can build a lot of energy within people within the world, who are, clear within their consciousness and their pathway of what they should be doing in the world. So, and they just sort of saying, yeah, we're pushing it to its limits, as it were. Okay, so let's just go and see that portal now that's inside the Akashic Library. Okay, that portal seems to be really tightened, and it's now got that beautiful sort of crystalline white glow that goes up and down out of the portal. So, things that the energy can go straight through the earth, and it feeds back towards the sun, it feeds back to the solar system and so forth, and it's really, really tight, and it's almost focusing on that central galactic energy or the universal energy, the galactic plane that's coming through it. And it's really tightening that energy at the moment. Let's just put our hands on it and see what we get here. There's so much information, very, very quick information. There's almost like it's finding the ultimate truths, and I say truths as in plural. It seems to be here that, as I said, 2025 will be the year of truths, and it seems to be pushing that, of really getting things out here, and it's stripping off the facades. So there's no more sort of uh, there's no more sort of like uh, showman. There's no more sort of like facades that are conning people. So you can have a facade on a building that looks absolutely modern. You walk in and it's a very, very old building. It's just a facial. It's taking off the facial. So it's really stripping it down to that common sense. That's what it seems to be. It seems to be burning through this common sense with truths that just go bah, 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 flying out. It's almost like a journalist I get kind of go, okay, that's the one truth. There you go. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. They seem to be really pushing it through. Very, very lovely energy, but it's really drawing upon the source of the center of the galaxy. So it's a lot of universal energies, and this could be helping that heart chakra to push on the outer echelons or our connections to everything that is around us. Absolutely beautiful. I get a great greeting from the librarians, and they're ready to get involved in the new consciousness and how we apply it to new technology, new ideas, new way of doing things. So explore the new. If there's a message that comes out from it, explore the new. Do not worry about the past. Allow those facades to be stripped away so you can see the pure essence of what you're trying to do. I think that's what the messages seem to be coming through here. I will be back to you, my friends, talking to the people, the librarians. At the moment, I just wanted to get a message from everything, and they're saying absolutely fine. We're in position, ready to go, to clarify the past and the future. And I think this ties into that tablet that I picked up last year from the portal, like a heat tablet on the bottom of like the space shuttles. It's a little bit like that. But anyway, they say that's the sort of like that's the thing I can use now to connect directly to the Akashic Library. Okay, so that's absolutely fantastic. Let's just come out of that sphere, that inner sphere. There we go. We're outside of that inner sphere. I can see that sort of fog that's just above me. It's like a mist, like a London mist, very London mist about it all. It doesn't quite come down like a very low-lying cloud, but not formed as a cloud, more as a blanket more than anything else. Okay, let me just have a look and see if we can connect with Mother Earth. Let's get the essences of the Earth and see what she has to sort of say. Okay. She seems to be praying and um or meditation, and it's connect thyself to the creator. We don't need a church, synagogue, or a mosque in order to do this. You don't need even a tree. You just need your physical being and existence in order to have that connection. So obviously she's encouraging us to um, bring forth uh, a religious connection on a personal level to the greater being that we are in. Our planet and our solar system is like a cell within a tissue in a body, and then that body is obviously part of another world, and but we are living within inside a being, as it were, and that's what we would define as our creator. Now, sometimes it's difficult to listen to the cell that's within our liver, for example, but that's what we are. If you imagine, like, our solar system is just a cell within the liver, and if they've got a problem with the liver, it could be the end of the creator. You got to think of it like that, but also at the same time, it could be a kind of having like a liver flush, and that's what it feels like in a way, as if the whole system's having a flushing out at the moment, bringing out all the debris and seeing, making, getting rid of all the stuff that's not needed, and allowing the truth to, or the facades to be unveiled, so then we can see the things clearly here. But she seems to be here sort of like knowing your meditation, your connection to all, as it were. And I thank you for that. Okay, so I can see the vortex coming through. It looks a little bit like a tornado under the blanket of that mist, as it were. And you can see multitudes of them about. And we're looking just for the energy connection to the vortex that is here. So let's just connect to that. There it is coming through here. Okay, we step into it and it naturally brings us up. I'm right up in the middle of the church, which is just down there, down the energy line, getting back down the energy line. And there it goes, stepping back into the body. Wow, intense, very intense, or intentional. An intensive, intentional direction that needs to be taken. And I think this is what the common sense is all about, that I've been talking about now for 2 or 3 years. This common sense evolution or revolution. There's that solar plexus. It fills you with a lot of confidence, actually, that this is it. This is part of the transition that, we're constantly going through a sort of transition. It happens on a permanent basis in a way. And but recognizing that we are constantly going through that transition. So I think it was Gil Scott Heron that said, rather than simply go through the change, let's direct the change. Don't just flow through the change, give it a direction as well. And I think this is where, on an individual basis, we can do that. And then that will play out on the collective basis as well. Whew. So there you go. Thanking you very much for being here. I do appreciate all the subscribing, liking, sharing, all the donations and so forth. It's absolutely fantastic. Without you, we really can't do anything here at the Astroflower. So I thank everybody for being here. I hope you get the best out of these sort of readings. We do have, your energy reading for Thursday and Friday. Thursday is Earth and Fire. Friday is air and water, and there is a video. I'm doing a video at the moment on dreams, because someone asked a very good question about what I had, what point of views I had on dreams and stuff like that. And it's a very interesting subject. So I think I'm going to be doing a video on dreams that should be coming out on Saturday. So we can then talk about it on the live, and we maybe even sort of, like, if you wanted to channel a few spirits or connect to a few people in the spirit sense. We can do that on the live on Sunday night. That goes out at 9:30 UK time. So I will see you there for that. Yes. In the meantime, all that's left for me to say is, don't forget, life should be fun. So please do enjoy.